Foster brother. That's what he's gonna do. I don't like talking about it. It gets me mad that it's happened to my brother. So you looking out for anything today? Lightwing? That's going to be an extra, that's going to be, so remember last year they did Starfield. Last year they did Starfield, this year they're showing off the new features, what I'm excited for. I want to see, there are plenty of things towards the game, we all know that. not doing the bloody audio design. Use it also.
Almost came in through the back door.
Yeah.
Don't trust anyone.
Several game of the year. And I don't blame them.
Good evening. The Soviet Union is no more. Despite a potential for instability and chaos, these events clearly serve our national interest. Free from the specter of global conflict.
Today we celebrate the mystery of American renewal.
Something's going on. Something big.
I'm a fire starter, terrific fire starter.
I figured if I stuck around hell long enough, I'd see the devil.
How's he look?
I'm a fire starter, terrific fire starter.
The agency is compromised. We're being hunted from the inside.
I'm a fire starter, twisting fire starter.
You don't have to trust me, Marshal. But it might be better if you do. Hey! It's something you should see.
What the hell are we getting into?
I still can't believe after time.
Don't trust anyone.
That's crazy. That's crazy how
You broke into a CIA black site. Are you out of your mind?
Things got complicated.
May God continue to bless the United States of America.
You just got a first look at the campaign for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Set in the 1990s after the Cold War ends, where the truth isn't what it seems. It's an honor to stand here representing the creative teams at Activision. And please stay tuned after the showcase, where we will take you inside the studios to hear directly from Treyarch and Raven, who are working on Call of Duty Black Ops 6. You'll get a 25-minute deep dive into the story and a sneak peek at multiplayer and zombies. It's been 10 years since Call of Duty has been in our show. It's been even longer since all Call of Duty players got the same game at the same time. Going forward, everyone will experience the game, including the Black Ops 6 beta, the season expansions, and the updates at launch. There are currently over 100 million people who play Call of Duty every month. We hope to grow that community by making Black Ops 6 the first Call of Duty game that will be available in Game Pass day one. So no matter where you choose to play, everyone is welcome to experience Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on October 25th. I'm incredibly excited for today's show. I'm standing here thinking about all the passion that has gone in to making this show what it is. It's an honor to share the latest efforts from our partners around the world and from our own creative teams at Activision, Bethesda, Blizzard, and Xbox Game Studios, who are doing what I believe is some of their best work ever. And now I get to introduce something that is special to me. As someone who has played games for as long as I have, it's amazing that I get to set up this world premiere. So thank you all for joining us. and please enjoy the show.
World premiere.
It looks like Diablo. Yeah. Oh, it looks like Doom. Oh, it's Doom. I know. What? It looks like Doom, but oh shit, yeah. Coming to Game Pass. Play it day one. Nice. That's a good start. Good start. Oh yeah, 100%.
Who were you before? Who did you love? What did you believe? It's too late to ask now. We all knew the risks when we ventured out beyond the gates. But you helped us make something greater than the fear and death that surrounded us. We found hope in each other.
Help! I'm surrounded. They're everywhere. There's way more than I was expecting.
And even if we bought the other survivors just one more day, the sacrifice would be worth it. It would always be worth it. Helped us find the courage to keep going, to fight on. When we needed it the most. I didn't know you well. But we'll keep your memory alive. Every sacrifice we make matters and will never be forgotten.
State of Decay. When? EA. Yeah, it's EA. Nah,
Not looking good, old friend. This'll take more than you and me.
What are you thinking?
We need someone to be our eyes and ears in the shadows.
And someone to bring a little darkness to the daylight.
We're going into the Fade, aren't we?
And digging up a lot of buried secrets.
What about Darkspawn?
Yeah. Someone who will stand between us and a pack of demons.
You know there will be dragons.
Right. We'll need someone with fire in their blood. One more thing. This crew needs a leader. Someone we can count on. Someone that the world can count on. But where are we gonna find her?
Shadow.
We have received a distress call of unknown origin. There is no record of a star station in this orbit.
It could
Something is
be
not right.
the expansion for Starfield.
This is the Serpent's Well.
Yeah.
Coming aboard was a mistake. You need to run.
Hold very still and choose your words carefully. They will determine how long you live. You trespass in the home of House Varun. Your fate will be decided by the Great Serpent.
Can you feel its embrace encircling your heart? Constricting until there is no more you. Only us.
Maybe Starfield. Yeah, it is. Shrouded.
I'm from the Trackers Alliance. We have a proposal for you.
I wish you the best of luck.
Vaultathon 76 is sponsored in part by Sugar Bombs Breakfast Cereal. Bombs away. Folks, if you're just joining us, we're coming to you live in the 10th consecutive hour of our Vaultathon 76 drive. We've got operators standing by and, oh, it looks like we've got one.
Harry's on from Skyline Valley. He's sending the whole family to Vault 76.
How about that? Skyline Valley, beautiful country, right in the heart of Shenandoah.
Oh, Shenandoah, I hear you calling.
Call now to join Harry and the over 17 million Vault dwellers already on board. And let's keep those numbers climbing.
Got 4 on the line from AVR Medical Center. Is it both twins? Congrats.
Vault 76 is a growing community, and strong community can weather any storm. Why, just take a look at our Skyline Valley neighbors in Vault 63. The greatest scientific minds are hard at work, cooking up shocking new ways to protect and preserve this Appalachian Eden. Yes, Skyline Valley is a stunning portrait of Mother Nature in repose. From the picturesque Shenandoah National Park to its majestic wildlife and friendly local residents, Skyline Valley is a welcome home to all. And don't forget to bring home a souvenir or two. When the bombs started dropping, don't come a-knocking. Call now to reserve your place in Vault 76. Still not sold? Well, I suppose having skin is not for everyone. Best of luck out there.
Across the wide Missouri.
World premiere.
Soon she'll wake and paint again. Paint a new number, ticking down every year. One stroke, and everyone of that age vanishes into nothingness. Every year she paints again, and every year an expedition departs for the continent with one hopeless mission: destroy the paintress so she can never paint death again. We'll break the cycle so she can't steal anyone else's future.
This world is full of wonders. Yet everywhere we go, we walk with death. Do you mean we're the only ones left?
Even if we fail, we lay the trail for those who will come after. Right? We are Expedition 33.
Yeah, I need to see more, like...
Do you think there's a chance my mom's still alive?
Oh, is this that?
If your mom's anything like you, she'll keep fighting till we find her.
I hope so. It's just hard to believe this is all really happening.
You mean to tell me your mama never told you stories about critters and weavers? Oh, you're lucky I come along.
What?
Shh. Just 2 toe tall. Big gator. I gotta drop you off fast.
After I got you out of that tree, you said you helped me find my mama.
I ain't of a disposition to be gator snacks.
Well, me neither.
If we're gonna go on, we gotta get rid of him.
I'm all ears.
There's a church up a ways with a big bell. Go on and ring it.
You want to make him come running?
Tom can't abide the sound of the bell. Some church folks once tried to dynamite him, and he didn't take that too kind. If you ring that bell, he might skedaddle.
You better not skedaddle.
Go on now, scoot. I'll pick you up yonder after to go find your mom.
Trifling ass mudcat.
Hey, I heard that.
Gotta move quickly now. Wait, that floating island is the gator? Oh, hell no. Time to find that church. There it is. Now to get over there.
Just meals for Tom.
It looks a bit like a Japanese creators in a way, where they Brazil. Yeah. Yeah, this could be oh, this is Diablo.
In darkness she slumbers and dreams.
Not Diablo. Lord of the Rings. Maybe.
And for countless generations, mortal heroes have risen to defend her.
Yeah,
they faced monsters, tyrants, and beasts of primordial horror.
I would like to
Though
see
they
that
fought amongst themselves,
that would be like
their enmity following them to the most distant shores. And even across time and space. Their courage never faltered. even upon the very threshold of death. While new hope blooms on the horizon, the final battle draws near. Now, in the darkness, at the very heart of the world, the drums of war thunder once again. And Azeroth at last awakens. The world's soul, so long denied me, shall be mine.
PC. God damn it. Him doing.
Flying over Pakistan, altitude 30,000 feet. Approaching Soviet airspace.
Listen up, Jack. Your mission is to infiltrate Selino Yask in the Soviet mountains, ensure the safety of Sokolov, and bring him back to the West.
Is this?
Your codename for this mission will be Naked Snake. I'll be referring to you as Snake from now on. The clock is ticking. This will be a sneaking mission.
Is it the remake?
You must not be seen by the enemy. You must leave no trace of your presence. Is that clear? This kind of infiltration is the Fox unit's speciality. In other words, weapons and equipment are procured on site. That goes for food as well. You're completely naked, just as your name implies.
I have to find my own weapons and equipment? Whose crazy idea was this anyway?
The mission rests entirely in your hands.
A real one-man army. Freeze. Speak. Commencing virtuous mission now.
Was it a PlayStation original? Xbox games. Oh, here we are. What is that? July. Next month. Not bad.
kind meddled where you shouldn't. As long as Ooh is free, your world is in mortal peril.
And how is it that you know all of this?
Because I am a god too.
If you're a god, you're one of them. Why would I
Honestly,
do
though,
anything
this
to help
is
someone I
solid.
want to kill?
If it's vengeance you want,
It's better than last year.
I'll give it to you.
But the thing is, they would do one a year. PlayStation is like
Come on then! Fight me and die!
Studios present.
We return to you now
Oh,
as the gods of mankind.
Rulers of the Greeks and the Norse.
The Egyptians and the Atlanteans.
We created mankind to fight for our glory. So rise and wield my wrath.
Command beastly chaos.
Rain down destruction.
And unleash our fury.
Worship me. Claim my power.
And legend
will be yours.
Yeah. You don't really get many
Your target is in possession of a radioactive device. Stop Carrington's attack at all costs. Good luck, Agent.
I always knew I had an instinct. I could see the world differently. I thought it would be like any other mission. I was wrong.
Welcome to Garden City, where it's a pleasant 23 degrees all day, every day.
How far to his last known location?
Local forces are also tracking his whereabouts. You need to find him before they do.
I'll have to improvise.
Generating voice print.
افتح ارسل واحدا آخر. اختبر البوابة بحذر.
What readings are you getting?
We are getting odd readings from your monitor. Can you confirm?
Oh, are they
I'm looking at the screen right now.
places Carrington on the second floor.
And the life we think we know turns out to be a lie. There's only one way forward. Find the truth. Scan's clear. I'm going in blind. Carrington! Damn it! Analyze. What am I looking at here?
Carrington appears to be targeting a research facility. If he attacks it, the casualties could be astronomical.
Agent Stark, it's a pleasure to meet you. I could use someone with your skills.
I had to lose everything before I could see. What this world was really hiding.
I hope you're ready, Agent Dark.
Are you all seeing this?
Once you open this door, there's no going back.
Agent Joanna Dark is caught in the middle of a near-future war over advanced technology that threatens the lives of millions. We hope you enjoyed the first look at gameplay, and we can't wait to share more from the developers at The Initiative and Crystal Dynamics as the game progresses. The creativity and talent of game creators are what make our industry unique, and I'm incredibly proud of our games and our teams. They are building a diverse lineup of titles, which includes new installments in beloved franchises like Doom, The Dark Ages from id Software, updates and expansions to our ongoing games like World of Warcraft, The War Within from Blizzard, handcrafted original concepts like South of Midnight from Compulsion Games, and blockbuster games with massive audiences like Call of Duty, Black Ops 6 from Activision. On behalf of our creative teams at Activision, Bethesda, Blizzard, King, and Xbox Game Studios, we thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to getting their ambitious games in your hands. Diablo is one of the most enduring and beloved series in all of gaming. We're thrilled to have Diablo 4 in Game Pass, where millions of you made it your favorite way to play. This October, Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred expands the demon slaying experience with an all-new character class, a new region, and of course, the next chapter in the acclaimed story. Here is the opening cinematic for the game. Let's take a look.
So it is in the swamp then.
Boy, young one, are you all right? Nerel? Oh, you're not well. Please, please, my child, let me help you.
Stay away from me! Nerel! Is that how I raised you?
No, Mother. But
Looks like she's got a
I
disease.
must carry this burden alone. I must get to Akarat's tomb.
But look at you. You're killing yourself. I don't know how much longer I can... I'm here, little magpie. I missed you so much. I'm so proud of you. But now, I need you to give up. No. Of course it's you! You monster! Let go of me! Let go? No. You made a choice. And I warned you, little magpie.
Damn.
There would be consequences.
Surrender.
No! I control the stone!
You hold the stone. You control nothing.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I could use some help.
Okay then. October 8th. But not peace, not... Oh yeah, please come on, PlayStation. Wow, they're still going. Playgrounds.
Oh,
games.
right. Jew. So,
yeah.
You want to know all about heroes, do you? Well, you have come to the right place. Because who better to tell you all about them than perhaps the greatest hero of them all? Yeah? There he is, in all his finery. Cheers.
I know I do as well.
I mean, sure, you get your mega fans,
You are like literally my favourite person.
your haters,
It's like a fan club, but we hate you.
your chancers, and the occasional giant toad, for some reason. But it's more than that. It's about the choices you make.
I'm a hero. I should do what I want.
You thought you could save her?
You know, it's your life and death stuff. That's what defines you, doesn't it? Really, stays with you. I knew this one hero. I took her in when she had nowhere else to go. Welcome to the most exclusive club in all of Albion. Thought I'd get her out there, make the most of her gift. But you know what it's like when you're young and you have a point to prove. I tell you, this kid, she had it all. The skill, the talent, the power. She was something else, all right. She was terrifying. So, yeah, I knew this girl once who made all the wrong choices.
Humphrey. She's back.
I'm going to fix it. this place.
There's only like one.
And no one is going to stand in my way.
But everything else, like, is amazing. No, it wasn't. It was cinematic.
World premiere.
Use this. Make your own rules.
It's my turn.
It's not. It's not gonna.
World premiere.
There is nothing left for me in the city. So, I have traveled back to where I grew up. Here, I found my childhood home in ruins. Why hasn't my aunt taken good care of it? The bridge to her house is broken, so I can't even ask her.
I will have to dip in about 10 minutes, Lightwing.
I will make the tree stump a cozy home again, no matter what it takes, and no matter how hard it gets. I will fight and find meaning and beauty out here. Some will say that in the dead of winter, a small city mouse doesn't stand a chance. Maybe so, but I must keep believing that every winter leads to spring. Auntie, finally! No!
Support. No, saying because we're still a friend.
World premiere.
My mixtapes bend others to my will. It's a strange, almost cosmic talent.
Go back to a time where summers lasted forever, when friendships were unbreakable and any trouble was good trouble.
This year, I want to ride a flaming stallion of delinquency.
Yes! What's your name again?
From Beethoven and Dinosaur comes an adventure a lifetime in the making. Experience the freedom of the teenage wasteland, sneaking out, making out, avoiding the law, and maybe something a little more.
Hey, can I stand up?
Yeah, little Rockford, go nuts!
Set to the soundtrack of a generation.
What are we gonna think of ourselves in 10 years?
I'll just remember to tell myself it felt important at the time.
Your greatest memories are stored in music. You're invited to go back in mixtape.
There have been noise complaints.
Okay.
It has been good. Right, our flight simulator. I'm gonna go Lightwing, come in.
World premiere.
I swore I'd never use my power again. But 2 nights ago, I found my friend's body in the woods. I don't know who I can trust. Or who trusts me. But my friend Safi is dead. So why can I still hear her voice? Focusing my power, I somehow shifted into a parallel timeline. Here, Safi is still alive. The danger stalks our every step. And only I can investigate both realities.
Hang on. Parallel world?
It's the same as this one, except you're dead. I can still save Safi. If I can solve and prevent the same murder across 2 timelines.
Are you sure you want to investigate this, Indy?
I can't let this go. It could be the best kept secret in history.
What are you going to do, Indiana?
These artifacts have a deep connection to something in the past. Boss believes they hold a kind of power. A discovery that could change the world.
What were you doing out there?
Fresh air! We have to find the stones, Gina. Or they will. If you were to draw a line through these ancient sites around the globe, you'd get a perfectly aligned circle.
The Great Circle.
Exactly.
I intercepted the Morse code coming from the Himalayas.
Where Voss is sending all of his men.
Is that a...
Battleship? Yep. Let's get a closer look. Gotta find the stone and get off this ship.
What's that in his hands? What does it say?
Earth something. What was that?
We'd better hide. Hey, tú! Ciao.
Hey!
Hands behind your head.
Where's the stone, you American rat?
What stone?
Have you ever heard of Höhenangst?
Fear of heights?
Yes! And I have it. I endured this dreadful mountain even if my mind was screaming every step of the way. Because of a concept you narrow-minded Americans will never understand! Devotion. Total and absolute devotion to the fatherland. You have no purpose. What you have is your stupid American cartoons. Choo-choo, choo-choo. You laugh and dance, celebrating your own idiocy and drinking the piss you call beer. I will walk through fire for the devoted men of the Reich. Give me that stone. Now!
Can't give you what I don't have.
I shall search your corpse to make sure!
Please wait.
Give me the stone.
Gina.
We gotta get out of here.
Help me!
The stone! The stone!
Gina! Haltet sie auf! Erschießt sie!
Hab dich.
You never know you are a monster until someone comes to slay you. The first signs are really subtle, but over time, it becomes clear. The gift changes you, slowly consuming every little part of your humanity. I should know. It runs in my blood.
Emperor has chosen you as our envoy to the living lands. That wild frontier suffers from the dream scourge. Find the root of this terrible plague and put an end to it.
He is wrong. The dream scourge is but a symptom of a deeper, more dangerous rot. Go, tame the chaos that plagues the living lands, so that those who remain standing can shape its future.
They both deceive you. There is more wonder in this world than eyes alone can see. You must open yourself to its mysteries. Tend to its purpose, no matter how wild. And become what the living lands truly needs. Its protector.
World premiere.
Emergency at Windscale Atom Plant. It's not emergency, but disaster. Now the worst seems to be over. Wiring target.
Did your father ever tell you why my bones ache in the weather? War. Their soldiers killed everyone.
I do not fear our enemy. They talk of peace and dream of war. Our people deserve to be freed of the oppressor's grasp.
Vengeance is a lonely path now, Believe me, there are other ways to heal.
People so quick to abuse their power do not deserve to keep it.
There is much we will learn from each other, Yasuke.
You can see when two people fit, when they will be better together.
There is no honor in preying on the weak.
Together, we will bring justice back to the people.
Скіфе, радий тебе бачити, друже. Валимо звідси. Ви тільки погляньте на це. Край, чарівний край черемоша і прута. Ти моя любов, ти рідна матінко моя. Жива.
Координати закинув. Поквапся.
Зараз час такий. Час можливостей.
Усі ці жертви, усі ці смерті. Який в них сенс?
Зона така, якою бачиш її ти. Я ж показав тобі, якою я її бачу. Іди своїм шляхом, і тоді ти зможеш побачити зону по-своєму.
We've been honored to partner with GSC Game World, the Ukrainian studio behind Stalker 2. We can't wait for you to experience their game yourselves on September 5th. Today, you've seen amazing games from creators around the world, from both our partners and our own studios, from the biggest blockbusters to original independent games. I hope you enjoy the breadth of titles coming to Xbox. In addition to all these great games, we're introducing a new all-digital Series X and expanding color and storage options across the Series X and S lineup. They'll be coming to select markets this holiday. These new X and S consoles, alongside the many other devices in our Xbox gaming family, offer you more choices. It's our mission to make Xbox the best place for you to play by including the titles from our own studios in Game Pass at launch, by bringing your games into the future with our commitment to game preservation, by pushing the technical boundaries in our future hardware, and empowering you to play your games anywhere you want on Xbox consoles, PC, and cloud. This is what defines Xbox today and in the future, and we're hard at work on the next generation. Immediately after Showcase ends, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Direct begins. We're taking you inside Treyarch and Raven for an extended look at what's next in Black Ops. But before we dive into the Direct, we've saved one more thing.
World premiere.
Hello, and welcome to Treyarch in Los Angeles, and thanks for joining us today. We're excited to share what we've been working on for the past few years. For Black Ops 6, we really wanted to give ourselves the time to craft something truly great. This means we're delivering a new level of polish and innovation across all parts of the game. I've been working here for over 20 years, and I can tell you that we have something special on our hands with Black Ops 6. And I know that the team are excited to give you a deep dive into our campaign and global innovations across the entire game.
With Black Ops 6, we're taking players to a new but familiar era, the early 90s. In true signature Black Ops fashion, our story builds on real history, thrusting players into a conspiracy where a shadowy force has infiltrated the highest levels of the US government, branding anyone who resists as traitors and forcing players to go rogue for the first time to fight the very machine that created them. The team has been meticulously crafting every aspect of this game to deliver the fun and attitude players expect from the Black Ops franchise.
Multiplayer is of course here and brings the Black Ops style and provides a playground for the brand new Omni movement system. New way to push beyond your limits and move like an action hero. You'll see a sneak peek of that later today. Round-based zombies is absolutely back and better than ever, and you can be sure it's full of surprises. With that, let's step into the mind-bending campaign experience we've been crafting with our partners at Raven.
No turning back now.
Every Call of Duty player has a favorite campaign mission. When we set out to make Black Ops 6, we were focused on delivering missions so iconic that they stick in your memory long after. We are bringing that action-packed blockbuster feel to every step of the narrative. We are giving you more variety, more dynamic moment-to-moment gameplay, and more options to finish each mission.
We can do this loud or quiet.
The game is packed with unexpected moments of Black Ops mystery. It's a high-octane spy thriller where you're never sure who to trust and what's real. And it's all set against the backdrop of the early 90s. The Soviet Union was crumbling after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. The US is the only remaining superpower. The Gulf War was dominating headlines everywhere, and there was a growing mistrust in government, reflected everywhere across the music, television, and pop culture of the time. When we talk about the Black Ops timeline, Black Ops 6 comes after the events of the Cold War, but is directly tied to the 1986 flashbacks in Black Ops 2, the aftermath of which has left our heroes in dire circumstances.
Something you should see.
Black Ops 6 blends the rich and gritty history of previous franchise titles with bold new characters, with veteran Frank Woods as our through line in our story. In this new chapter, we see a different side of Woods following his traumatic injury at the hands of Raul Menendez. He's been pulled from the field as he adjusts to a new role within the CIA, often behind a desk or on the other end of a radio. His protege is Troy Marshall, who's been making a name for himself in the field. Marshall is a reluctant leader driven by a strong moral compass. Marshall and Woods are working with another new face in Black Ops 6, CIA handler Jane Harrow. She's a born leader, fearless and brilliant, and helps manage their relationships within the agency. Woods' ability to operate in the shadows has always been hugely valuable to the CIA, whether they want to admit it or not. And Marshall has the ability to make tough calls in the field, ones that Harrow trusts him to make. But when an operation goes wrong, Woods and Marshall are suspended and ultimately forced to go rogue. They soon realize they have to trust each other to get to the bottom of what's going on. Without any of their usual resources, they have to build their own team, recruiting two exciting new characters in Felix Newman, a technical genius, and Savati Dumas, a mysterious assassin. With the end of the Cold War, these former enemies have become new allies. And with the sudden return of notorious operative Russell Adler, who'd gone missing for months, a former ally may have become a new enemy.
For the Black Ops single-player campaign, we prioritized mission variety and unique experiences. Our goal was to offer players a wide variety of mission types, each crafted from the ground up. One moment, you'll be storming a palace. The next, you'll be pulling off a heist at a casino. We aim to take players all over the world and immerse them in vastly different experiences. Within these missions, we wanted gameplay to unfold in multiple ways, giving players the freedom to navigate through them as they see fit. Where we have different combat styles, we also have conversation opportunities where you can talk, barter, and manipulate your way into different experiences. And we think you'll want to replay levels to see them all.
We are excited to offer a variety of different enemy types in the campaign. The goal was to provide different challenges for the player. So whether they choose to go in guns blazing or take a stealthier approach.
Line them up right, you can take them both down with one shot. Nice and quiet.
We've continued to push on what's possible in terms of how our enemy combatants behave. Your enemies will be relentless, constantly seeking to outmaneuver you throughout the levels. They'll cut off escape routes, push on players' location, and force them to think on their feet. We've created certain missions where we give you a high-level objective and a variety of ways to approach that objective. One mission in particular takes place in a vast desert in Iraq. You and your team are hunting down missile launchers with the SAS. It's one of the largest campaign maps that we've ever created.
Look alive, people! They know we're coming!
You'll find that some of our destinations have a startling contrast in look and feel as well. We have a mission that takes place in an opulent casino in Southern Europe. It's unlike any past mission in Call of Duty. And what the player does in this space is totally unexpected. And another one of our missions we have set in the harsh tundra of northern Russia.
We are excited to offer an array of brand new equipment, as well as some favorites from the Black Ops universe. RCXD, Tranquilizer Trap, Adrenaline Stim, Homing Knife, Disruptor,
The campaign is grounded within an expanded campaign hub called the Safe House. You might remember we also had that in Black Ops Cold War. But this time, we wanted to think a little bit more broadly about the environment. We chose to have our team's hub located in a more naturalistic setting. So, it's in an abandoned manor by an ocean cliffside. What's most unique is that it used to be a KGB black site, which was operational during the 50s and 60s. This brings a lot of intrigue to the Safe House and will allow players to explore and discover secrets from the past. The team is also bringing back the evidence board, which is still the centerpiece of the Safe House experience, but with brand new upgrades. Players can view the campaign outline, gain deeper insights into missions, and analyze evidence collected throughout missions.
What on the side, please? Okay. Capture.
Okay, the attacker comes in.
I'll go. 3, 2, 1, go!
That was sick.
Great.
I think we got it.
With Black Ops 6, our goal is to create a more connected experience that keeps players immersed across every single mode. We've pushed ourselves at every corner to innovate and craft the most signature Black Ops experience for our players. Movement has been a consistent area of focus and innovation for Call of Duty. And with Black Ops 6, we're redefining movement across the entire game. For the first time ever, players can sprint in any direction and move like a true Black Ops action hero with an entirely new global system we call Omni Movement. This unlocks the ability to move like never before and seamlessly chain combat maneuvers like slide, dive, and our enhanced supine prone in full 360 degrees range of motion.
From the beginning, we started with, you can't do this thing, why?
and then realized people actually move that way. What happens if we get rid of that construct? And then instantly it opened up like, oh, if you can sprint in any direction, then you can dive in any direction, you could slide in any direction, which then led to all the on-the-ground movement and everything else chaining together.
It's really been something that changes how you think and play the game, whether it's campaign, MP, or zombies. We truly believe that once you experience Omni movement, there's no going back. We also have what we're calling intelligent movement, which is a set of features that drastically reduces how many buttons or keys you're pressing to perform various movements. These can be enabled in player options, and they're broken down into 3 categories: sprint assist, mantle assist, and crouch assist. And each of these settings will allow for fine-tuning. Intelligent movement really started with this idea that we want all players to focus on what they want to do and not how to do it. We want every player, regardless of skill level or input or experience with Call of Duty, to be able to engage with Omni movement and live out their own action hero fantasy in Black Ops 6. We looked at other genres like racing games, where they have these great assist settings that can be turned on and off. Things like traction control or assisted braking, and we really love the idea of taking that thinking and applying it to our own movement options. I don't think this is a one-size-fits-all thing, and I encourage players to play around with combos of these settings to really dial in their preferred setup. Hit zones are regions on a character that react when taking damage or dying. In past games, we've only had 4 regions. For Black Ops 6, we've actually increased that to 9 regions, so now we can determine if that enemy was shot in their left leg or right leg, and then we'll play a bespoke death animation depending on that location that they were hit. So world connectivity is this concept that players' movement and reactions are connected to the world based on their choices. A great example that really shines is a global feature we call corner slicing, where as you round a corner or go through a doorway, your weapon's gonna dynamically rotate in the direction that you're rounding that corner. And since it's dynamic, it'll be a bit more dramatic if you're slowly clearing a room, but won't affect you at all if you're barreling full speed around that same corner. We are constantly looking for opportunities to set the bar with movement and animations in Black Ops 6.
Take cover!
Our team is super thrilled to show you the best looking characters that we've done. Through our process of photogrammetry, gear was acquired, scanned, and incorporated onto each of our operatives. For our faces, a dynamic real-time analysis of spontaneous performances was captured and processed to make every emotional, impactful moment true to actual life. We made sure to have special attention to the cuticles and make sure that they don't look like they're just freshly cut. There's dirt in between their nails, the oils on their palms as they're sweaty and running through situations that they're in. We're paying attention to every detail.
The thing that I'm most excited about is the number of new weapons from the era that we've added, which includes many that are brand new to the franchise. Our heroes are rogue operatives, and they operate outside the normal playbook. That means they're procuring gear by any means necessary, and it allowed us to pull a unique mix of weapons. We made sure to deliver dozens of unique attachments for every gun, and this allows the players to create a weapon to match any playstyle that you can imagine, all while maintaining the feel and tone of the era.
In Black Ops 6, we really strive for striking that balance between real and hyper-real, but we want to ground our effects in realism. We find real-world reference so that we can match that motion, the weight, the timing, then riff off of that and create that hyper-real look that everybody has come to know and love from Call of Duty.
The Black Ops 6 user experience is all about focusing players on what they need when they need it, and our in-game HUD is no different. From the mini-map to the ammo widget to in-game notifications, The Black Ops 6 HUD combines some of our best designs in a clean, streamlined experience. For the first time in Call of Duty, players will be able to change their HUD in dramatic ways to suit their needs. For instance, streamers can choose a layout optimized for their setup, or maybe you want your HUD centered so you don't have to look away. Want to play hardcore anywhere, or finally put the minimap in the bottom left? Those are options as well. Not only does the HUD give players important status, it connects them to the world and helps them feel rewarded for being awesome. As players track that elusive challenge or target their next level unlock, Black Ops 6 delivers an end-to-end experience from the lobby into combat and back, where player progress and achievement are celebrated in a big way.
Early on in Black Ops 6's development, we set a goal to make leveling and XP matter more than ever. Looking back through the Call of Duty and Black Ops catalog, there's a lot of love, both internally at Treyarch and that we see in our community, for how we used to handle prestige. Traditional prestige is back in Call of Duty with Black Ops 6. We've pulled the best of the best from past Call of Duty prestige systems and are going bigger and more rewarding than ever. Players who reach max player level will have the choice to enter prestige, start fresh with relocked gear, and go through the leveling journey again. Black Ops 6 will have 10 prestiges, each with a valuable set of rewards to earn and equip to peacock your status. Players who make it through Prestige 10 aren't done. Instead, they'll graduate into Prestige Master with 1,000 additional levels to climb through and a classified reward to uncover for anyone dedicated enough to make it all the way to the end. The full Prestige system is available on day one in Black Ops 6.
We know how many of our players look forward to multiplayer, and we will be providing a deep dive on it later in the year. For now, here's some insight into our development of Black Ops 6 multiplayer. Our vision since day one has been to craft an approachable and engaging step change of that signature Black Ops multiplayer experience. We focused on supporting 3 core playstyles for launch. Enforcers are the slayers who like to kill and stay on the move. Recon is all about intel and counter-intel play. And strategists are support players who throw their bodies at objectives for the win or focus on taking out enemy score streaks for the team. All of our weapons, gear, and gadgets in multiplayer have been intentionally designed through that lens of supporting these play styles. And of course, it wouldn't be a Black Ops game if you can't relive those action hero moments in theater mode, which we're happy to announce is returning with Black Ops 6. Now, I said we're only getting a taste of MP today, but of course that means you're going to get some early details on maps.
We're happy to announce that we will be launching with 16 all-new MP maps. We've got 12 core 6v6 and 4 strike maps, which can be played as 6v6 or 2v2. What do players like? What do we know that they want? So we're back to our classic 3-lane maps. We've got fast, frenetic experiences, and we have that balance with more medium size, like better for hardcore pacing to keep the action flowing, but still have meaningful decisions for the player to make. The maps have their own stories, and we have multiplayer taking place after the campaign, after you finish it. So don't want to get into too many spoilers there, but you'll experience some of those locations through the multiplayer lens.
We've covered a lot today, but couldn't leave you without giving you just one more thing. Ground-based Zombies is back, and we're picking up the Dark Aether storyline where we left it. We're excited to announce that there will be 2 brand new maps available at launch, with a curated mix of fan-favorite features and new elements to discover. For those new to Zombies, it's our unique take on the cooperative horde mode, where every map is packed full of powerful weapons and upgrades, deadly enemies, and tons of secrets to uncover. The legacy of Zombies is incredibly important to Treyarch, and we are so proud of what the mode is bringing to players in Black Ops 6. As you've heard today, the innovations in movement systems will also be coming to zombies. Plus, there are many additional zombie-specific features, both new and returning. This is going to be a truly epic return for round-based zombies. Be on the lookout for more intel coming later this year.
Steph interviewed AB. Mark?
Now, we know we only gave you a little taste of multiplayer here today, so make sure to mark your calendars for our worldwide multiplayer reveal event at Call of Duty Next on August 28th. Make sure to stay tuned for details and watch your favorite streamers get hands-on Black Ops 6 so you can be prepped and ready to jump into our MP beta and feel Omni movement for yourself. We'll be sharing so much more about Black Ops 6 in the coming months and look forward to seeing your reactions and your feedback from our open beta coming up this fall and into launch. And it's not just about launch, because the team is already focused on delivering a ton of content in the live seasons, which we'll be sharing more about. Am I allowed to talk about Warzone yet?
No.
Our goal on Black Ops 6 was, and still is, to make something that is the best work we've ever done, and frankly, the most fun to play. To do that, we deconstructed all of our gameplay, our systems, and content plans, and repeatedly asked how something could be better. In some cases, that led us to huge innovations like Omni Movement, where we're now allowing players to move how real people and operators move. In other cases, it led us back to some of our classic systems like Prestige, then taking that classic system through the ringer and making updates and improvements. Across our weapons, gear, operators, maps, and more, a huge push has been to hit the highest visual and audio fidelity possible. The campaign tells an all-new Black Ops story where you're forced to go rogue and are being hunted by the teams that trained you. On top of that, the team is really focused on mission and engagement variety. Multiplayer is a key ingredient in the DNA of Black Ops, and hopefully, in this sneak peek, it was clear that every single part of the MP game loop will be improved and better than ever, from movement, to shooting, to footsteps, to engagement systems, to death. And last but definitely not least, the triumphant return of round-based zombies. There is so much more to share across all 3 game modes before the game officially launches on October 25th. On behalf of the entire team, we can't wait for you to play Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
All yachties report for training. The floaties won't inflate themselves. More floaties, bosun. Watch all seasons and spin-offs of Below Deck on Hayu.
In the countryside where the weather is fine, it's Ribena time, so get in line. Got all the vitamin C. You need daily, yeah, that's right. We're British black currants, bursting with berryness, all right.
In late '94, after a completely wild development journey, Sony releases the PlayStation in Japan, followed by launches in the United States and Europe a year later. Despite a rocky start, the console gains traction, benefiting from an extensive promotional campaign, the piracy rampant, and, more importantly, Sega's numerous missteps with the Saturn and the lack of games on the Nintendo 64. Gradually, the PlayStation establishes itself, eventually dominating the market and overshadowing the competition, thanks to omnipresent third-party publishers and a continuous stream of game releases. However, after this resounding success, Sony faces an even more challenging task than conquering the video game market, doing it a second time in the most competitive context in history. Sega gains ground with the Dreamcast. Nintendo continues its streak of legendary games that revolutionized the industry on its previous console. And a new player enters the scene, Microsoft, with its highly anticipated and promising new console. This marks the epic journey of the wildest console in history, the one that completely redefined the standards of a gaming console. This is the story of the PlayStation 2. At the end of 1994, Sony releases the PlayStation in Japan, and the initial sales are not that great. It lags behind Sega's Saturn, sparking a fierce competition. Almost immediately, Ken Kutaragi, the man who oversaw the project from the CD player for the Super NES to a new console, starts considering the next console. However, he quickly encounters resistance from Sony's leadership, which sees things differently. If the PlayStation doesn't become a commercial success, there might not be a next console. Remember, a significant portion of Sony's executives vehemently opposed the making of the first PlayStation, and didn't want the company to focus on video games. To make matters worse, Kutaragi, a controversial figure, is driving the project forward. Some of his colleagues describe him as manipulative, insolent, stubborn, provocative, and disrespectful of hierarchy. This behavior is deemed unacceptable even more in Japan, and a substantial number of them wish for only one thing: the failure of the PlayStation. It lands in the United States and Europe a year later in September 1995, and the beginnings are more convincing. It catches up with and gradually surpasses Sega Saturn. In 1996, the Nintendo 64 arrives like a rocket, quickly reaching the PlayStation's level, thanks to Super Mario 64 that shatters all sales records. But PlayStation sales remain strong, and there you have it. The project for a next-generation console is truly launched. Kutaragi had been working on it on his own anyway, whether authorized or not. In 1997, after the Nintendo 64 had the upper hand for a few months, PlayStation sales literally explode. This is fueled by a price drop from $299 to just $199, taking advantage of a quiet year for Nintendo's console, with many game delays and the eagerly awaited 64DD. PlayStation also benefits from prevalent piracy on the console, which skyrocketed the console on some territory, mainly Europe, the introduction of a joystick-equipped controller, and major releases from third-party publishers: Final Fantasy VII, Tomb Raider, Oddworld, Crash Bandicoot, Final Fantasy Tactics, Resident Evil, Tekken, Twisted Metal 2, and the start of Gran Turismo promotion. The PlayStation outshines its competitors, validating Ken Kutaragi's vision and choices to create a straightforward console with easy game development, an affordable price point, and a significant focus on marketing while collaborating with third-party publishers instead of trying to sell in-house developed games. In the middle of 1997, following the convincing sales of the PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi is promoted and directly catapulted into the position of CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment, the department responsible for video games. This marks the beginning of the Kutaragi Show, earning him the nickname Crazy Ken. This isn't the first time he's caused a stir. During the development of the PlayStation 2, his former colleagues recall his behavior. He asked the engineers for a cutting-edge, cost-effective architecture, and every morning he yelled at them. Whenever they explained that something was not feasible, he would respond, "Impossible is not an option. I want it done." In every meeting, he would forcefully assert his ideas, and whenever someone contradicted him, he would bark for an hour over a minor disagreement, to the point that no one dared to contradict him anymore. He used his hierarchical superiors to translate his ideas into English in meetings, which is highly frowned upon in Japan and can be interpreted as humiliation. Sometimes, specific points had to be addressed in meetings, but Kutaragi explained that he already made his decision and used the meeting to talk about something else. He made very important decisions on his own, which greatly annoyed a portion of Sony's executives. One day, I made an appointment with him and his team to discuss the piracy issue, and he denied everything. So he demonstrated how people were pirating the console right in front of him, and he continued to say, "There is no piracy problem with the PlayStation." His behavior is questionable, and some employees even refuse to answer questions about him, stating, if some things were known today, it would cause a huge scandal. But despite that, what stands out significantly from these former employees is how visionary he was, an enormous worker, the first to arrive and the last to leave. He had an office on each of the 12 floors of Sony's headquarters in order to let employees on every floor approach him if needed and leave notes on his desk. He played the negotiator with all kinds of companies, never giving up an inch to let engineers solely focus on the console's architecture, even though it wasn't his original job. In reality, he is admired as much as he is feared and will impose his own vision of a gaming console, much more than with the PlayStation 1, where he had to make concessions. His vision revolves around a home console that is not just for playing in one's room, but rather turning it into an entertainment device for the entire living room. The end of 1997, beginning of 1998, marks the acceleration of a new medium, the DVD. Sony has just finalized its own new DVD format created in partnership with Philips, the DVD-RW, capable of storing 4.7 gigabytes. It's enormous, and Ken Kutaragi sees exceptional potential. He wants the next console to use the DVD medium for games, but more importantly, he insists that it must be able to play video DVDs. However, Sony's executives disagree. Making the PlayStation 1 compatible with playing audio CDs led to a significant decline in the company's CD player sales. With massive projections for the DVD market, turning the PS2 into a DVD player would be an extremely risky gamble for Sony. Kutaragi fights tooth and nail for months. He believes that the PS2 must be able to play DVDs for the success of the next console. Even though a good portion of the top executives rejects the proposal, Sony CEO Norio Aga, who likes Kutaragi, personally approves the decision. The PlayStation 2 will also serve as a DVD player, marking a first victory for Kutaragi as he sees the project gradually taking shape. The heart of the console is very challenging to design because by the late 90s, technological advancements in the gaming world are staggering. Every 6 months, significant technical revolutions hit the scene, leading to a real war between graphics cards and processors, involving video logic with its PCX2 and the exceptional 3D hardware acceleration of 3DFX's Voodoo graphics cards. The battle intensifies month after month, making it a very difficult challenge to design a console in a period where the world of computing is evolving so rapidly. Remember that Sega developed 2 consoles in parallel with different architectures using different components, leading to the Dreamcast for the same reasons. Sony decides to partner with the Japanese giant Toshiba and invest $2 billion in semiconductor companies to design a processor called the Emotion Engine. Its theoretical power is simply monstrous, and it is named so because it supposedly has the mathematical power needed to simulate emotions because according to Sony, this means they can create 3D models and faces with clearly visible emotions. Moreover, it is supposed to manage artificial intelligence so effectively that it eventually gives the impression of having genuine feelings. The question of the console's name arises, and as Kutaragi wants it to be in line with the previous one, the name PlayStation 2 is chosen, despite some reservations from some team members and other proposals.
All Yachties report for training. The floaties won't inflate themselves. More floaties, bosun! Watch all seasons and spin-offs of Below Deck on Hayu.
Stop! Sure you want to lick the creamy yogurt from every last inch of lid, but you can't. What will the kids think? Perhaps they'll draw pictures of me and show their parents.
Muller, love every bit.
With Get Your Guide, choose from over 100,000 things to do in one app. Follow expert tour guides all over the world to local hidden gems and get exclusive access to iconic attractions. Get Your Guide, unforgettable travel experiences.
Be a savvy saver with our £250 excess refund reward.
Do not compare!
However, Sony has a lot of difficulty designing the appearance of the console. The look of the original PlayStation is highly appreciated and a big selling point of the console, making it challenging to follow up. Teiyu Goto, the man who designed the PlayStation in very close collaboration with Kutaragi, and who also designed the first controller and the famous symbols that have become popular, takes on the task of designing the PlayStation 2. For this new console, Kutaragi's only instructions are create a design that appeals to everyone, which is too vague to provide any specific guidance. Goto struggles immensely to envision what a successor to the console would look like, and the initial designs are rejected by Sony's higher-ups because they resemble the already announced and showcased Dreamcast by Sega. The PlayStation 2 needs to stand out. Goto is somewhat at a loss for inspiration, unable to produce a convincing prototype. Strangely, he finds the inspiration in a prototype of Atari's latest PC, the Falcon 30 Microbox, which never made it to market. Sony seemed to have acquired the patent during Atari's bankruptcy. Goto essentially picks up its design, creating something similar, and it's even explicitly mentioned in the console's patent. The only thing left to change is the color. He opts for black, representing the universe, with a blue logo symbolizing the Earth in the midst of this universe. Kutaragi announces the console as the entry into a new universe. One of the most annoying issues for players with the PlayStation 1 is the fragile game cases that easily break upon opening. Consequently, Sony decides to create new ones for the PlayStation 2. To achieve this, Sony America hires an artist, Hawkwai Yeo, who has collaborated with various publishers on significant games. His task is to design special game cases with peculiar shapes, pyramids, trapezoids that introduce movement, an artist creating something completely unique that significantly helps the games using his cases stand out. Hawkwai Yeo designed several case models, including this highly exotic one that truly convinces Sony America. However, during the prototype stage, Sony Japan decides to cancel the project and opt for conventional and cheaper DVD cases instead. As for the controller, the question doesn't really arise because Sony, which was lagging behind the competition, especially Nintendo, which introduced an analog stick and vibrations, among other features in its controller, described by journalists as a gem, has just released the dual analog controller, and more importantly, the DualShock. Even though some players and journalists, especially in Japan and America, initially complained because the sticks are quite low on the controller and the grip is less natural than with directional buttons, Goto and Kutaragi decide to stick with the same model to maintain continuity with the previous console. They believe that over time, everyone will get used to it. Consequently, the DualShock 2 for the PlayStation 2 is a very similar model to the first one, slightly improved with sticks that offer better grip and are slightly more precise than before. It is lighter and will be available in black, matching the console. And one day during a trip to South Korea, Kutaragi meets several publishers and developers who explain to him that in South Korea, players prefer computers, cyber cafes, or arcades for those who don't have them. They play online MMORPGs, something surprising and not very widespread globally in the video game industry at the time. South Korean players pay a monthly subscription in order to connect and access content to download via the internet. Seeing this, Kutaragi gets the idea to do the same for Sony. Instead of adding content to a video game, Sony could provide a service for music, images, and videos, featuring popular songs from Sony Music or movies produced by Sony Pictures. Users would pay a monthly fee, turning the PlayStation 2 into more than just a gaming console, but a device encompassing all aspects of entertainment. With this in mind, the console is equipped with a PCM-CIA port that could accommodate accessories, including one that is in development, an Ethernet adapter. However, the issue is that file formats are evolving, and as it's not yet fully defined, Sony makes the somewhat risky choice to integrate a method that allows updating the console's operating system through special memory cards, which will have implications later on. And remember, while Sony is preparing its new console, the year 1998 marks a revival for Sega, which introduces its Dreamcast, a new next-generation console that outperforms all current consoles and is 12 times more powerful than Sony's PlayStation. The Dreamcast has an architecture very close to that of a PC, making ports of games on the console much simpler than before. Throughout this time, rumors about a new Sony console are everywhere, with images seemingly appearing out of nowhere, speculations about a potential DVD player, a supposed new Final Fantasy in the works. It's mind-boggling. The console is already everywhere, even though it hasn't been officially announced. But the sales of the PlayStation are exploding. The year 1998 is an exceptional year for Sony's PlayStation. It's truly the year when Sony's strategy of partnering with numerous third-party developers pays off, as they finally deliver an astonishing number of high-quality games. The excellent racing simulation Gran Turismo, the pinnacle of 3D fighting games with Tekken 3, the outstanding Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, Tomb Raider 3, Parasite Eve, and many others, all within a few months. As a result, Sony can't announce the PlayStation 2. It would significantly impact the sales of the PlayStation and the recently released blockbuster games. Throughout the year, Sony gives interviews and states that there is no new console in development. Only the PlayStation, which they will continue to support for a good while. However, Sega's early entry into the new console generation poses a problem because the Dreamcast is much more powerful and feature-rich. Since there is no response from Sony, the company's stock takes a hit after Sega's announcements. A bit panicked, and to stem the bleeding, Teruhisa Tokunaka confirms to America's Business Week magazine that a new console is in development and will likely use DVD support. This takes the rumors to a whole new level. Sony's announcement of the PlayStation 2 is supposedly planned for November 1998, and the rumors become extremely persistent. Every month, new speculations emerge everywhere. Interestingly, the absence of an official statement from Sony generates so much buzz and rumors that it partly overshadows the promotion of the Dreamcast. Everyone is so curious about what Sony is preparing that it inadvertently promotes a console that hasn't even been announced, something quite unprecedented for any other gaming console. At the same time, it's understandable. The graphics of the PlayStation 1 are dated, and Sony managed to release the PS1 around the same time as the Saturn. Now everyone is wondering what they will do next. And in late 1998, a new console is announced, Project X, designed by VM Labs, promising significantly better graphics than the PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64. But more importantly, they announced that the console will be able to play DVDs, something quite revolutionary. Additionally, the console will be sold at an affordable price. Sony is being overshadowed by this new console. Even though Project X is not exactly a console, but rather a DVD player that can run some games, some major publishers like Electronic Arts and Ubisoft are very interested. Motorola even announces that they will license the console and launch a product based on it. The Project X is becoming more and more serious. After all this, everyone is convinced that Sony will announce its console in November, which seems logical because they are being overtaken by their competitors. Moreover, Ocarina of Time is about to land and launch one of the biggest storms in the history of video games. Everyone sees it coming. It has been the most anticipated game for months, and the first reviews are extraordinary. Announcing the PlayStation 2 in November would also overshadow the launch of the Dreamcast, which would be great for Sony. It almost seems like a no-brainer. The rumors persist, claiming features such as backward compatibility with PS1 games, DVD playback, 10 million polygons per second, and it continues to attract a lot of attention. However, 1998 is the year when the PlayStation sold the best in its entire history, surpassing the already staggering figures from the previous year. Sony cannot afford to break this momentum by announcing the next console, so they decide to remain silent about their next console. Then, in late 1998, the Dreamcast arrives in Japan and has a rather respectable start. However, two major problems arise. First, the Dreamcast falls victim to a global semiconductor shortage, quickly leading to stock shortages. Sales are below expectations. Secondly, the Ocarina of Time storm hits the gaming world at an astonishing speed. It's absurd. It becomes the best-selling home console game of 1998, despite being released in late November, facing shortages and being out of stock worldwide. It receives perfect scores in almost all magazines, with many calling it the greatest game of all time, putting Nintendo up front. Under these circumstances, it's clear that Sony cannot announce a new console. That would be too risky, since everyone has their eyes on the Dreamcast and Ocarina of Time. In the end, the PlayStation 2 remains a mere fantasy and speculation for the general public. Some journalists even wonder if a console is really in development, while internally at Sony, preparations are underway for the biggest promotional campaign in the history of video games.
Find highly rated products at prices you'll love. Start your search on Amazon today.
Aldi's Super 6 from just 59p. Save a wedge on your fresh fruit and veg. In store now.
With Aviva Wealth, you can easily see how your savings, investments and pensions are doing. So when the time is right, you can make the changes you want. Helping you put the right pieces together for your future. It takes Aviva Wealth. Savings, investments, pensions.
I am Invictus. Invictus. And discover Invictus Parfum, the new fragrance by Rabanne.
In early 1999, Sony will send the first development kits to a select group of developers, but the information leaks, and now anticipation begins for a release in a few months, probably by the end of the year. The PlayStation 2 is once again capturing everyone's attention, even though nothing official is announced. Then in February 1999, the prestigious and very reputable UK magazine, Edge, announces that they have gathered a lot of information about the PlayStation 2. Indeed, they disclosed its launch date, price, and some technical specifications. This announcement generates a lot of attention because, much like Famitsu, Edge holds significant influence in the gaming world, further heightening expectations. Then, in March 1999, Sony invites hundreds of journalists from around the world to a special press conference, where they will present the technical specifications of the upcoming console. It's mind-blowing. The presentation focuses on the Emotion Engine, and it is simply monstrous. Sony announces that they have developed the most powerful consumer processor on the planet, exclusively for their next console. Better than words, they showcase 9 technical demos of the console that leave a huge impression on the attending journalists. It seems to outperform the PCs of that time, and the journalists are impressed. They even invited many well-known developers to give a positive image to the console, greatly enhancing its credibility. Sony also announces that it will be backward compatible with the entire PlayStation 1 game library, something very rare at the time, but which worked well for Nintendo when they released the Game Boy Color compatible with classic Game Boy games. This announcement has a bombshell effect. In addition to that, Sony announces compatibility with Dolby Digital Sound, potential DVD playback via an accessory to be obtained later, and that the games will initially come on CDs and later on DVDs. They explain their new vision for the console, aiming for a connected device with the internet and an entertainment device for the whole family, rather than just a gaming machine with a possible service for movies, music, and images with a monthly subscription. They conclude by revealing that they have built new factories specifically to produce the Emotion Engine, aiming to avoid shortages, and announce a release for winter 2000 in Japan, followed shortly by the rest of the world. It's mind-boggling, and the PlayStation 2 is on everyone's mind even though the console hasn't been revealed yet. People are in shock due to its announcements, which have already made the Dreamcast theoretically obsolete, as the PlayStation 2 is much more powerful. Some journalists even refer to the Dreamcast as a console from a previous generation, which will severely impact Sega since the console has just been released in Japan and is about to arrive in the rest of the world. The countdown has begun. The PlayStation 2 is coming to Japan in a year. Nintendo, sensing the shift in momentum, is forced to announce that a new console is in the works, even though the Nintendo 64 has been on the market for less than 3 years. Sony has dealt a significant blow to Sega and Nintendo with these announcements alone. And then we reach May 12, 1999. It's the start of the E3, and it's one of the most anticipated E3s in the history of video games. Sega is set to announce an international release date for the Dreamcast. The PlayStation 2 is expected to make an appearance, and Nintendo has declared that they will unveil the technical capabilities of their next console. All eyes are on the event taking place in Los Angeles. It's a real war that the manufacturers are about to engage in. Nintendo's booth focuses on the Pokémania, which has just exploded worldwide, and on visually impressive demos like Perfect Dark. Sega's booth reserves a significant space for Sonic Adventures, and Sony's booth showcases the famous and highly impressive technical demos to the general public. Then the conferences arrive, and Nintendo drops a massive bombshell. They announce Project Dolphin, the code name for their new console, produced in partnership with Matsushita, IBM, and Panasonic. Nintendo declares it will be the most powerful console ever created, even more powerful than the PlayStation 2. Along with that, they reveal that the games will use DVD as the storage medium. Nintendo is officially abandoning the cartridge format, and on top of that, they announce a new DVD format that will be impossible to copy and pirate. They conclude by announcing that it will be available by the year 2000, just a few months away. It's incredible. Then Sega announces an international release for its Dreamcast in September for the United States and Europe, accompanied by games like Sonic Adventure that will be available simultaneously with the console, and also announces multiple games and a huge promotional campaign. On the other hand, Sony repeats somewhat what they have already announced for the PlayStation 2, emphasizing once again those famous technical demos that are once more breathtaking. The market is buzzing, and a huge breath of fresh air sweeps through the industry. However, while Nintendo has just announced its new console, thereby jeopardizing the sales of games for the Nintendo 64, Sony, with backward compatibility, makes purchasing PlayStation games just as crucial, since they can be played on the next console. Now, all eyes are fixed on the Dreamcast and its global release, with Sega hoping for a better outcome than the Japanese launch. The summer is marked by an extensive promotional campaign for the Dreamcast worldwide, even allowing Americans to rent the console before its official release to get a feel for it. Advertisements continue non-stop, and the console arrives in the United States on September 9, 1999, priced at $200. Against all expectations, the launch is a huge success, notably due to the 18 games available, most of which are published by Sega itself. In just 2 weeks, over 500,000 units are sold, surpassing Sega's initial predictions. Unfortunately, a manufacturing defect in the Dreamcast's GD-ROMs, the game CDs, creeps into one of its factories, tarnishing the console's image despite its overall positive momentum. However, that's not the only hiccup, as due to the shortage, the European release had to be delayed by a month and finally arrived on October 14, 1999. Despite this setback, the launch in Europe is also a massive success, thanks to its affordable price, robust promotional campaign, and most importantly, the excellent games already available with a diverse lineup. Imagine all of a sudden a new, more powerful console than the others is hitting the market at just $200, with around 20 high-quality games, including Soul Calibur, The House of the Dead 2, and especially Sonic Adventure, causing quite a stir. In just 1 month, Sega sells 500,000 Dreamcast units in Europe too, surpassing their initial goal of 500,000 in 3 months. It's an utterly wild success, and the sales continue to soar for weeks. Sega makes a triumphant comeback, stronger than ever, and also announces an online gaming service for the following year. And then comes the Tokyo Game Show at the end of 1999, and the event that everyone was waiting for. Sony finally gives a major presentation for its new console, the PlayStation 2, starting with an endless speech. Ironically, Sony announces that the console is at the center of Sony's renewal and that it will be closely associated with the Sony name, which they intend to prominently feature everywhere. This is ironic because for the first PlayStation, they were so concerned about potentially damaging their corporate image that they created an entirely new brand, the PlayStation brand, a new division they called Sony Computer Entertainment. With no mention of video games, and in the early advertisements and models, the Sony name wasn't even present. Now it's a different story, indicating that the console is shaping the future of the company. They move on to showcase the console's features, and it's mind-blowing again. First, the highly significant backward compatibility, which was already confirmed. Then the introduction of the new controller, the DualShock 2, with very few changes, except that the sticks are more precise and all buttons are pressure sensitive, capable of measuring the force applied, theoretically translating it into gameplay ideas. Next, the new memory cards are presented, containing 8 megabytes of data, 8 times more than those of the PlayStation. Finally, the console is revealed with a design that everyone describes as very modern and sober, not resembling a typical console, and that can be placed either vertically or horizontally. The first words concern its somewhat high price, but Sony is confident as they announce a launch of 1 million PlayStation 2 units exclusively in Japan, the largest console launch in the country's history. They also announced the PlayStation 2 can process up to 60 million polygons per second. To put it in perspective, recall that the Dreamcast can display up to 8 million polygons per second, making this announcement seem utterly astonishing, but also too good to be true. Right after that, Sony announces that not only will PlayStation 2 games indeed use DVD as their medium right from the release, unlike what was stated a few months earlier, but also that the console will be able to play DVDs without any additional accessories or add-ons, all included in the console's remarkable price. Internet connectivity is also announced, along with the much-anticipated music, movies, and image service that Sony aims to launch. Instead of technical demos, playable demos await the mesmerized audience. The announcement has the impact of an earthquake in the gaming world. Everyone is captivated by the PlayStation 2 and its new game demos. But at this point, it becomes apparent that the game demos are far from as convincing as the technical demos from several months ago, which, in fact, did not really run on a real PlayStation 2 hardware. However, this doesn't diminish the hype generated by these announcements, as everyone overlooked the graphical downgrade. Sony drives the point home by declaring that no less than 100 games are currently in development and will be released in the first year. 100 games, an enormous number.
In the countryside where the weather is fine, it's Ribena time, so get in line. Got all the vitamin C. You need daily, yeah, that's right. We're British black currants, bursting with berryness, alright.
Le Mal, de Masculine Fragrance by Jean-Paul Gaultier.
After graduating, my ideal is doing a master's. I want to do an MD or MBBS, which is a master's specific on opening a clinic. I do want to open a clinic one day, cancer treatments, because of my mom. And I think that is an area that is in healthcare system not a big thing right now, and I do wish that it evolves a little bit more.
In a similar vein, Sony Computer Entertainment America reveals that they had allocated a budget of $150 million for the promotion of the console in the United States alone. It's the most expensive promotional campaign in the history of video games at the time. For comparison, Nintendo had spent $15 million on the promotion of the Nintendo 64 over 2 years in the US. Sony is planning to spend 10 times more in just a few weeks. It's absolutely staggering. The Dreamcast, whose sales are declining, is forgotten, and the only one still managing to attract some attention is Microsoft. There are rumors suggested that Microsoft might be preparing a game console, and everyone is wary because it is estimated that Microsoft has 5 times more money than Sony. This could potentially shift the current dynamics where Sony is much larger than its competitors and is using its resources to stifle them. A few months later, at the beginning of the year 2000, Square organized a massive event, the Square Millennium, to present the upcoming developments for the company. They announced the Play Online project, emphasizing online services. Square began developing its tools, including an internet browser compatible with the PlayStation 2, and focused on creating online games. A substantial list of games was planned, starting with a special episode of Final Fantasy, which would be a MMORPG released on the PlayStation 2, along with 2 other Final Fantasy games planned exclusively for Sony's consoles. This announcement was a significant win for Sony. Square, being one of the world's largest game publishers and the largest in Japan, provided exceptional support just weeks before the console's release. Square not only showcased its console, but also undermined Sega's stance on internet connectivity, a position Sega was vigorously defending. Square delivered a strategic blow to Sony, promoting its console over Sega's, and doing so with one of the most popular franchises in the gaming world. As I mentioned in the documentary about the Nintendo 64, when Square snubbed Nintendo, Square truly serves as a role model in Japan, influencing many Japanese companies to naturally turn towards the PlayStation 2 with its choices. And then begins a rather peculiar Japanese marketing campaign. Take a look at this. They are simply short snippets of daily life with the PlayStation 2 logo at the end of the advertisement and a number, which seems to indicate a countdown. It's quite strange and abstract because you don't even see the console that much, and you don't even know what product they are trying to sell. On the other hand, just the act of embedding it into everyday life snippets anchors the console in daily life as if it naturally belongs there, and it piques a lot of curiosity. These advertisements were broadcasted on a large scale and bombarded at an insane frequency, showcasing various scenes of everyday life for everyone: mothers, office executives, high school or college students on their way to school. It's an extreme, extensive promotional campaign targeting a massive audience. And it's going to work like a charm because the PlayStation 2 is eagerly anticipated by thousands of Japanese who have set up camp in front of stores, sleeping with extremely long queues. There are so many people in front of stores waiting several days before the release in freezing weather that the police have to disperse them for their own safety. Sony even offers pre-orders online on their website, and in literally 2 minutes their server crashes due to an overwhelming number of connections. Sony has planned for 1 million consoles, but it might not even be enough given the tremendous anticipation. Finally, we arrive at March 4th, 2000, and Sony is gearing up for the biggest launch in the history of video games. But of course, nothing is as simple in the gaming world, and nothing will go as planned. We arrive at March 4th, 2000 at 6 a.m. The PlayStation 2 is finally available in all stores. It's about time because there are so many people in the streets and in front of the stores blocking the passage that the console's release is supervised by the police. And it's completely insane. Throughout the weekend, the streets are filled with people queuing for hours and hours in the freezing cold and even in the rain. All that just for a PlayStation 2. The event is covered by the Japanese TV channels, some even using helicopters for easier mobility. In just 2 days, Sony has already sold 1 million PS2 units, the biggest launch in history. The worst part is that a significant number of people won't even manage to get the console, leading to tragedies like a man who jumped off a building after being told there were no more PS2 units available, or gangs attacking individuals who bought it to snatch it away. It's such madness that even Sony is surprised by this unbelievably wild start, as they initially planned to sell 1 million units in 6 days, not 2, and the console goes out of stock. And strangely, the PlayStation 2 is prohibited from export to other countries because it's so powerful that it's considered a supercomputer by the Japanese government, hence it could be used against Japan's interests. Many interpret this as anti-terrorism protection, leading to later false rumors, such as one claiming that Saddam Hussein, then president of Iraq at war with the United States, is building a supercomputer by connecting dozens of PlayStation 2 units. This, of course, is a completely untrue rumor. Unfortunately, the release of the console in Japan is marred by numerous issues. Firstly, the joysticks of the new controller are too stiff and require excessive force to move, coupled with some connectivity problems. More significantly, there are frequent crashes and freezes, occurring not only during PlayStation 2 games, but also when playing PlayStation 1 games, listening to CDs, or watching DVDs. The console faces numerous technical problems in various situations, including graphical glitches, sudden disappearance of 3D models, and issues with the console's operating system, especially concerning the memory card. It's a launch severely tainted by technical problems, far more prevalent than the Dreamcast launch or any other console before. Furthermore, strangely enough, a secret code is discovered in the console's DVD player. Through a simple manipulation with a controller, the CD and DVD player of the console becomes region-free, meaning it can now play DVDs and CDs from other countries. It may not seem like a big deal, but it poses a significant problem because an international agreement among CD and DVD player manufacturers prohibits the resale of DVDs in a country before its theatrical release. Essentially, this means that, for example, Japanese consumers can import a DVD of a major Hollywood film before it's even released in Japanese theaters and watch it on the PlayStation 2. Sony finds itself in a predicament and is exposed to substantial sanctions. As a response, they release numerous updates in the form of a CD to be inserted into the console, installing the update on the console's memory card. However, as you might suspect, hardly anyone bothers with this update. Why would a user go out of their way to get the CD and prevent themselves from playing foreign DVDs? Perhaps the most significant problem with the console is that it launches with 12 games, which is decent and more than the Dreamcast. However, the console's launch games are absolutely disastrous. They include uninteresting titles like Mahjong games, which have already been released on all previous consoles. Fantavision, a fireworks game that showcases the console's particle handling, but lacks any meaningful gameplay. It's supposed to be a video game, not a technical demo, and it's produced by Sony themselves. On top of that, there are poorly rated games and magazines, such as The O Story, an uninteresting FMV game produced by Enix, American Arcade, a lackluster pinball game on the PS2, Konami Jikyu World Soccer 2000, a soccer game far from international superstar soccer, also produced by Konami, and IQ Remix Plus, which looks more like a technical demo than a real new game. The games are truly bad and completely unworthy of a new generation, especially from the self-proclaimed most powerful console in history. Moreover, at the same time, Final Fantasy VIII, Gran Turismo 2, Silent Hill, and Vagrant Story aren't released on the previous console. But it gets even worse because in addition to the lack of interest, they are riddled with technical problems, loading times of 2 minutes for some of them, visual and audio glitches, and some are completely buggy. For instance, A-Train, a train simulation which were common in Japan, crashes from time to time with no apparent reason. Street Fighter EX3 has disappearing polygons during fights, and worst of all, Ridge Racer 5 has disappearing scenery and includes a bug in its save system that destroys the user's memory card and crashes the console every time it reads data from it.
When the kids eat us out of house and home, we just eat groceries from Sainsbury's.
Yes! Betsy the nuts! Get off of mine!
When do they leave home?
For groceries and everything else.
Did somebody say just eat?
Remortgaging is just a rate flip. I think when we're talking about remortgaging, you have a lot more options.
1 million, the fragrance by Rabanne.
Adding to all of this, The graphical appearance of the games is not pleasing, and it's light years away from what is available on the Dreamcast at the same time. The PlayStation 2 earns a reputation as a console with no interesting games, a significant setback for a new console supposed to revolutionize the world of video games. Sega takes advantage of the situation, as during the TGS, they announce impressive games for the Dreamcast, including Soul Calibur 2, Samba de Amigo,